Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for week 10 Premier League fixtures. And if we get anything like we just saw week 9, we are in for a treat. Who would have thought, who would have used their imagination that not only Haaland but Foden will both get hat-tricks in the same game in the Manchester derby. We also saw Arsenal obliterate Tottenham in the North London derby. We saw Trossard score a hat-trick at Anfield, and the last player we saw do that at Anfield was doing the celebration Arshavin for Arsenal. So let's see what's going to happen in week 10 Premier League fixtures, and I'm telling you, we're going to get more of the same. We got Arsenal versus Liverpool, two top 6 sides facing off with each other. We also got Everton, Frank Lampard winning back-to-back games versus Manchester United. We got other amazing games like Manchester City versus Southampton, and we know when Haaland plays at home, he usually scores a hat-trick, scoring 3 hat-tricks in a row at the Etihad. However, before we go into this video and give my predictions, you know what I'm going to say. Make sure you guys like, comment, and hit that big subscribe button right there. And make sure you guys in the comment section give me your own predictions. So the first game I'm going to be predicting is Arsenal versus Liverpool, and it's going to be a mouth-watering event. We've got two of the top 3 biggest sides in England facing off with each other. So let's see who's going to win all 3 points. And going into this game, you're going to be surprised, but I think Liverpool deserve the tag the underdog, because the way we have been playing recently, losing, drawing games, how on earth are we entering this game as the favourites? Arsenal have been playing exhilarating football, fantastic. They've been destroying oppositions at their Emirates. So why on earth should I come with the audacity to think that we're going to beat Arsenal at their own ground? I'm not going to be like this. I'm not going to be deluded. Going into this game this season, we're just not in great form, and I just feel like potentially we could lose. And we've got so many weaknesses. We've got so many areas for pools to concern, especially starting off at that right back position where Trent Alexander-Arnold defending has been diabolical. It just feels like he has lapses of concentration. He sleeps, he jogs back, and whoever the winger is, they literally get past him every single time. This is what the Brighton players took advantage of at Anfield in the last game. So how on earth are we going to deal with one of the most in-form wingers, Martinelli, down that left-hand side for Arsenal? And we have known he has caused Trent Alexander-Arnold's problems in the past. So Mikel Arteta will be preaching, convincing, persuading Martinelli, whenever you pick up the ball at that left-hand side and you have a chance to go one-on-one with Trent Alexander-Arnold, take that match up, because you are relentless and you're just too good for Trent to deal with. Also, that's not the only worry. We know Xhaka is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League so far this season. The way he bombs on forward on that left-hand side, the way he scored against literally Tottenham in the last game, and he has been scoring against Leicester and other teams. So with that, and Zinchenko obviously tucking in as the left centre midfield as well, providing passes to break through the lines. How on earth are Trent and Matip going to deal with this when they have been poor in their last few games or so? I got no idea. And even from a confidence factor, Arsenal have been dominating teams. They've been playing great football, like I said, and it just feels like they're clicking and they're gelling so far. And any team they face, they're just finding a tough time to deal with. Every single game Arsenal have entered this season, they have been pretty much the best team, including the game against Manchester United. And I don't think this is going to stop anytime soon, especially going against the Liverpool side. We know Emirates is literally becoming a fortress for Arteta because they have yet to lose there this season, and last season it felt like they rarely lost there as well. And it just feels like we're entering Anfield. It's quite ironic because Liverpool are usually the side in the first 20 minutes taking the game to the opposition, making them feel fearful. Arsenal are literally going to be doing this to Liverpool because we have seen them do it all season so far, using the atmosphere as their advantage, because we know the fans are literally getting behind the product. The things I'm going to tell Jurgen Klopp is that I feel like he needs to change the formation, especially in these next 2 games against Arsenal and Manchester City. We don't have the confidence, we don't literally have the mentality to enter these games, to take the game to the opposition, because we are just too fragile. I think change from a 4 to a 3 at the back, allow Trent Alexander-Arnold to play as a wing back so he doesn't have to necessarily deal with the defensive responsibility against Martinelli, and just going to provide us more stability, more defensive prowess when it comes to dealing with Arsenal's main forwards, who we know are in hot form. Entering this game, like I said, it's going to be a shock. I'm going to be predicting a convincing win for Arsenal at the Emirates against Liverpool, winning 3-1 in a dominant display. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Everton versus Manchester United. And what another amazing game we have on the weekend between these two sides. Obviously, Everton winning back-to-back games under Frank Lampard, and we got Manchester United, who absolutely got obliterated by Manchester City at the Etihad, so they're going to be looking to bounce back. But I feel like Manchester United right now as we speak, they got their work cut out because Everton have been playing some good football at this moment. The fans have been saying they finally got a product they can be behind because it just feels like the players are fighting. They're literally playing for the badge. They're not literally taking any rest and they're literally flying to tackles, winning their 50-50 balls. It feels like the players are finally clicking, finally finding the best sort of form at this moment of time. We got Cody and Tal Jaworski as the two centre-backs, and these two centre-backs love defending, love their physical tackles. They love literally being one-on-one with the striker and winning those aerial duels. And we know Rashford up front, we know he's not the strongest, we know he's not the biggest, he doesn't have the ability to hold up the ball. So I feel like these two defenders are going to love the task at hand to bully Rashford up front if he starts for Manchester United. Also, Iwobi transitioning from a left winger or right winger to play the more central midfield role, and he's been excelling in his new position, getting assists, getting chances, creating opportunities. The way he literally assisted McNeil for his goal against Southampton in the dying embers of the game, Everton fans are really loving his form in that new position. And even Mope, even though he isn't scoring goals and everything still can do better within that department, he is throwing his body about, he is making it tough for the opposition defenders. So keep an eye out on the matchup between him and Martinez in this game at Goodison Park against Manchester United. So I feel like this game is going to be a massive indicator right now how far Manchester United have come under Ten Hag. Yes, you can beat Southampton. Yes, you can beat Leicester away from home. And I'm not taking anything away from that because 3 points away from home is 3 points. But we have to remember where Leicester City are in the Premier League table right now. And we have to remember how poor Southampton have been as well. They are facing an full Everton side under Frank Lampard where it's going to be a tough environment and atmosphere. Always it's been historically at Goodison Park, especially with them playing very good football at this moment of time. So Manchester United have to be at their best. I feel like the experiment with McTominay playing as the lone DM, that has to stop now. Put Casemiro, because it's going to be a physical battle. I'm going to keep talking about that because Goodison Park is one of those grounds where you have to win your individual duels. And I feel like Casemiro is going to be relishing the chance and the opportunity to get dirty into the ground and fly into tackles and win those sort of battles. Also, Martial has to start for Manchester United, scoring 2 goals coming off the bench against Manchester City. So I feel like he has to start ahead of Rashford because he's a better natural 9 compared to him. However, at the end of the day, I can't see Manchester United win. I just feel like Everton right now have been very hard to beat, especially at Goodison Park. Frank Lampard has them playing the way he wants them to play, and I just feel like it's going to end as a 1-1 draw between the two sides. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Brighton versus Spurs, and I think this is going to be a fascinating prospect between two sides who sit 3rd and 4th in the Premier League table as we speak right now. And going into this game is quite strange, it's quite funny, because Spurs have only lost one single game, and it just feels like all the pent-up aggression, all the pent-up anger within the Spurs fan base is coming out because they are so angry the way they've been playing football this season under Antonio Conte. But why are you that surprised? We know religiously this is the way the Italian manager loves to set up defensive, scrappy football. And going into this game against Brighton, I don't think we're going to see anything different. The new manager, Roberto De Zerbi, the way he's been getting his players to play, it feels like literally a replica right now of Potter football. You know the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I love the way he's still setting up his players. It doesn't feel defensive, it still feels expansive, it feels like they're still taking the game to the opposition. And we saw this in large periods in the game against Liverpool where McAllister, Gross, they weren't scared to take the ball, dribble with it and find openings on the wings where they could take advantage of our fullbacks. So I don't think this is going to change. And I feel like in this game against Spurs, I think this is going to be a massive play, a massive tactic, because if you ask any fans, what is the worst positions in the Spurs side? It's probably the wing backs because defensively, they are not as good as you think. I love the way Brighton have been playing, and although they do have a new manager, and although people will point to the fact that Potter was a massive factor with the way they've been getting results this season, they still have fantastic players. Trossard scoring a hat-trick against Liverpool. And we know Trossard, what he did last time he versed Spurs at the end of the season. He literally scored against them in the dying embers of the game to win. Also, they got other fantastic players. McAllister, Gross, like I said. Welbeck, he's powerful, strong in the air. So I feel like these sort of players are going to cause Tottenham all sorts of problems. They faced Liverpool this season, they drew. They faced Manchester United at Old Trafford, they picked up 3 points. So they're not going to be fazed by the obstacle facing another top 6 side, especially since they beat them last year at their home ground. Spurs, however, are going to be liking their chances and prospects against Brighton because this allows them to play their sort of football. Counter-attacking, it is boring, it is mundane, but at the end of the day, it can be effective against the right opposition. However, I think Brighton at points will be able to neutralise this because Caicedo within that DM role has proven to be one of the best DMs within the league, protecting the back three. And we can't forget, Brighton do play a back three. Although they play expansive attacking, high-pressing football, they still have the protection at the back to deal with Son, Kulusevski, etc. just in case they do be left a little bit open and isolated. They will have 4 defenders to deal with Tottenham's 3 attackers, so I feel Brighton will be able to, at times, deal with this sort of threat. So going into this game, it might be surprising, but I'm going to be predicting a 1-1 draw at Brighton Stadium between the 2 sides. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Manchester City versus Southampton. And if you ask me right now, I actually feel sorry for Southampton that they actually have to face this Manchester City side. They have been absolutely destroying, obliterating, taking advantage of any single opposition which are right in front of them. Manchester City last year and the year before, we thought they were dangerous with the false 9 system. They got a proven machine up front, a goal-scoring destroyer, which any moment he gets an opportunity out front of goal, you know is going to end up in the back of the net. The difference between Manchester City last year, that maybe at times you think if you defend and you're lucky that potentially you can nick a draw or maybe a win if the false 9 or the wingers aren't clinical. Manchester City don't have that worry this year because their striker, their number 9, is always going to be clinical, putting the ball in the back of the net, like we saw literally in the last game against Manchester United, one of the best informed defensive sides within the Premier League. Now they're facing Southampton, who are literally under a lot of pressure. Hassan Huzul, he's having a lot of players going against him, a lot of players potentially going to board saying that he's not the right man, he isn't playing the right style of football, he isn't getting the results, so why should we still play for him? Mentally, some of the players have checked out and want a new manager at their home at Southampton. Some of the fans are turning on them as well because they have been playing very poor football in their last 3 games, getting 3 losses. And you know what? You can lose 3 games in a row if you're mid-table side. But the matter of fact, you've lost to Wolves, Aston Villa, teams in and around you, you should be beating. Teams which have had their managers sacked like Wolves, like I said, and Steven Gerrard on the brink potentially to get sacked as well. This isn't a very good look for the manager at Southampton. So going in this game, how on earth are Southampton going to win or get a draw? The simple answer is pray, and potentially that's not going to be good enough facing a Manchester City side at the Etihad. Manchester City are notoriously famous for destroying teams at home if they're lower side. The only thing I can see is a convincing win for the home side, Manchester City at the Etihad. I'm going for a 4-0 victory for the men in blue. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Chelsea versus Wolves, a very important game for both sides. So let's see which team will be able to reign victorious and snatch all 3 points to take home. And going into this game, I know it's quite ironic that Chelsea is near the top and Wolves are actually at the bottom, but both sides actually have a lot more in common than you actually think. Teams with very talented flair players who can beat a man, who can literally create a chance out of nothing, but don't have that clinical number 9 to put the ball in the back of the net. Both teams struggle for goals, and let's not be surprised if we actually see a 1-1 or a 0-0 or 1-0 result within this game. And going into this game, I feel like Chelsea couldn't have picked a better time to play Wolves. Obviously, there is going to be that new manager bounce back since Bruno Lage has been sacked from Wolves playing negative football, not getting the results that Wolves fans would have wanted. However, at the end of the day, I feel like the pressure from the fan base for Wolves to play more attractive football, since they have the players of Podence, Neto, Neves, Moutinho to do so, it's just going to play in Chelsea's hands. I feel like a Bruno Lage system would have been very difficult and tough for Chelsea to break down because we know Chelsea, as I said, aren't the best side to take games to oppositions, to break them down if they are in a low block. Although Chelsea have not really embedded themselves in the style of play when it comes to Potter ball, it is a learning progress and it will take some time. But I feel like there are just a few positives which Chelsea fans will take away. The way Aubameyang really pretty much created a chance out of nothing with a Thiago header, literally letting the ball coming across his body and literally smacking it into the near post. We haven't really seen that from Chelsea players, having that instinctive striker ability to put the ball in the back of the net. So potentially he could do this again against Wolves. Also, Gallagher getting the goal, a worldie against Crystal Palace, his former side. This is going to his confidence a world of good, especially since he hasn't started the season strong, giving away silly challenges and even getting a red card against Leeds. So going into this game, I think Chelsea will have just enough to grind all 3 points. I'm going to be predicting a 1-0 victory